Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Fantasy Sports Review tonight. This is episode number 258 of Fantasy Sports Review. You can always catch us here on Fairfax Cable, Channel 10 at 11:30 on Thursday nights and at 1:30 on Saturday afternoons. Kind of halftime of your early college football games. Good time to turn in and watch Fantasy Sports Review. And we have Steve Mullen in the control room directing the show tonight. Steve is the producer and host of the TV show Sports Scope, another show worth checking out here on Channel 10. Again, so we're done with week 6. We're kind of getting halfway through the fantasy season here. You kind of know where you stand. Either you're in a good position to make a playoff run, and it's time to start making trades for the playoffs, or if you're in the middle of the pack, you need to try to either figure out if you're going to keep doing what you're doing, try to shake things up with some trades. And if you're at the bottom, you just got to make sure you don't do anything stupid and try to turn your players over to a team and have a fire sale, because that's really bad fantasy football ethics. Another great set of games last weekend. A lot of running backs kind of reemerged this past weekend. We saw a couple two touchdown performances, and even a 3 touchdown performance by Noshawn Moreno. He's looking really good against some pretty weak NFC East defenses so far. But, the big game last week was also the New Orleans Saints and the New England Patriots. I kept telling everybody, New England Patriots, New England Patriots, New England Patriots. Clara wouldn't listen to me. She was afraid to come and do the show tonight because she actually had me drinks before the show. So we miss having her, but we do have somebody else here in studio with us today. The long-lost Robbie Castro. Robbie, how you doing?
I'm back. It's good to be back, Phil. Thanks again. And, yeah, there were some great games in Week 6, but Week 6 is over with. If you had Tom Brady on your team, he threw a touchdown pass in the last 10 seconds of that game, so that was pretty exciting. But other than that, a lot of different quarterbacks here facing the top 5, and we'll get to that in just a little bit.
Yeah, before we get into that, I did want to take a moment out here and ask you how, I've been hearing really good things about Trio Restaurant, man. What can you tell me about it?
It's a good place.
Good place?
Been there a couple times.
Good place to check out Fantasy Sports Reviews at Trio there in Merrifield. I heard it's good. What'd you have?
I think I just had the jumbo shrimp. And
the jumbo shrimp party?
Yeah, that's
all right, well, very good. So, the quarterbacks last week, Cam Newton, this is a guy that I drafted pretty high. I thought he'd have a good season this year. He kind of came on at the end of last year, and this is really the first time that he emerged in that sort of that emotional game there where they were playing the Minnesota Vikings with Adrian Peterson and the death of his son.
Well, finally saw the Cam Newton that, you would take in the first, I'd say, 3 to 6 rounds. I mean, he wasn't doing anything until the last game against Minnesota, and kind of torched him through 3 touchdown pass, ran for 1, so 4 total touchdowns. And then also Nick Foles, who comes in for Michael Vick too.
Right, that's the interesting thing last weekend, Robbie, is you do have Foles, Thaddeus Lewis, Mike Glennon, and Brandon Weeden coming back off of the injury to...
Well, I wouldn't start Brandon Weeden. If you're starting Brandon Weeden, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble, but the no-name guys actually stepped up and did something. Henne was probably number 13 on the list. If it weren't for Shorts getting hurt early in that game, he would have been on that list too.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was kind of funny to see because Nick Foles, comes in and replaces the injured Michael Vick, and now it's like there's a quarterback controversy brewing in Philadelphia. He's going to play this week against Dallas, and it's kind of like if he has another good game like this and they win, what's going to happen?
Dude, look who they're playing, though. They were playing Tampa
I don't
Bay,
care.
And they were playing Dallas. I mean, everybody, you could pass for 300 yards against those guys.
Yeah, you're probably. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I think you could.
I probably could.
You can do something like that, man. So, I'm not that impressed by that. And
I think it's kind of weird because if you have Nick Foles on your team, it's kind of it's kind of like borrowed time. You don't know when he's going to be the backup again, or stash him away for a rainy day because Michael Vick could get hurt again.
Yeah.
Like I've been saying all season long.
It's a disaster. I'm in a 2-quarterback league with Mike Malik, and he's got Foles, and I got Vick. So he's trying to completely, just highway robbery of a running back. He's trying to get listen to this. He wants to get Ray Rice for Nick Foles, and Vick right now is my third quarterback in a 2-quarterback league. So you have to actually start 2 quarterbacks. So that means that your third quarterback does have a little more value because you do need them for bye weeks. But I already got Terrell Pryor, and I've already got Matt Ryan. I have Vick on my bench, who will probably return to the starting lineup, I think. But I'm not going to give him Ray Rice or anybody like that for Nick Foles. That's just craziness.
I wouldn't do that either. But it's kind of weird. So then you have also Matthew Stafford, who comes in and throws 4 touchdown passes. So
without a really healthy Calvin Johnson either.
Right. So there's some new weapons that you could acquire in Detroit.
Yeah, but I'm not going after Ryan Broyles, dude. That guy's complete garbage. I mean, there's better guys to have there. Well, it was for you, dude. Did you want to go after that guy? He only gets 1-yard touchdown catches.
Yeah, that's true. He had 3 of them.
Yeah, he's probably number 1 on the list.
3 catches and 3 touchdowns.
He still wasn't enough to beat Vernon Davis.
The
running back Noshawn Moreno was a dream matchup last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those guys won't play him over there, but they do play the NFC, so I think you'll see a lot more good things from Noshan Moreno if he holds up. I just traded for him. I had a big trade where I traded away Deshaun Jackson and Jacquizz Rodgers for Moreno in this one league. I was stoked to get Moreno because my best running back was like Chris Johnson, so I was definitely stoked to get him. I wish I had him for last week's game, but due to a stupid rule in the trading system, you can't do trades after Wednesday night, which I didn't know about, and that was just retardedness. It cost me a win in that one game. But a lot of the marquee names there, Marshawn Lynch, Jamal Charles, Ridley, Arian Foster had an awesome game, scoring touchdowns like
Reggie
we talked
Bush
about.
had a great game again.
McCoy, the same top dogs are on the list every time, man. But,
Right. Well, Stephen Ridley's not, and Brandon Jacobs isn't either. But
Exactly.
Ridley, again, this guy, the first 5 games hasn't done anything. Then he comes out and throws and rushes for 2 touchdowns. What kind of Stephen Ridley's going to show up this week against New York and their stout defense?
Well, it just goes to show you never really know what Belichick's going to throw.
But Noshan Moreno, too. I mean, there was 3 running backs in Hillman, Monty Ball, and Noshan Moreno who were easily draftable in the later rounds. And if you picked Noshan Moreno, you hit the jackpot.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why it was going to be anything else. I was turned off by that whole scene. I thought from watching Moreno last season, that was like a done deal. Signed, sealed, delivered. You're going to be the number 1 guy there in Detroit. But they talked about Ball, or Detroit, Denver, and the number 1 guy there, Ball.
Yeah.
Bell, Monty Ball.
Bell,
whatever
Ball.
the hell his name is. One of those balls.
You like balls.
So, I just kind of stayed away, but I knew that Moreno was going to be the guy. I really did.
Yeah.
And moving on to running backs, receivers, I mean. Let's take a look at this list here. Finally, the reemergence of Vincent Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have him on 2 of my teams, and he's very good. So I'll take full responsibility for that. But yeah, starting him, I mean, he's been injured. Hasn't been playing that well. Now he has Mike Glenn as quarterback. Josh Freeman, now goes to Minnesota. It's just a whole mess over there. And now he catches 2 touchdown passes from a new quarterback. Brandon Marshall's also on the list too. 9 catches and 2 touchdowns. But then Justin Blackman, I mean, you could have gotten him really late. And,
He's a beast.
He catches 14 balls for $190. I mean, no touchdowns, but still gives you a ton of points if you're in a PPR league.
Yeah, no,
And then,
like that.
and then Deshaun Jackson. I mean, I wrote him off years ago, and look what he's doing now. I totally mushed him.
Yeah, well, that injury to who was that darn guy, number 18? Man, what the heck was that guy's name? Not Avery and not
Macklin.
Jeremy Macklin. Yeah, with that injury, I thought that maybe it was going to be a good year for Deshaun to step up, and so far that's been pretty good. And plus, playing in that in the NFC East there, he's going to have great matchups for the rest of the year. I'm really excited about this guy, Keenan Allen. I think that's a good one. And, he's certainly going to be the next Eddie Royal over there. And
Eddie Royal's hurt.
And he's hurt now?
Yeah, so there you go.
All right, I picked up
next
Ruben
Eddie Royal.
Randall, another league here. Vernon Davis, the tight ends. I think Scott Chandler is a good guy that you can pick up off the waiver wires there still, too. That guy, he's kind of like that for you guy. He just scores touchdowns. He doesn't get a lot of catches or yards, but...
Well, he's a big target in the red zone. That's something that it's huge in the NFL because you're thrown into tight spaces like that. So yeah, another good guy. But Dallas Clark, I mean, he's going for a lot on the waiver wire.
Going to come back though.
Well, he's still, you know what? I saw him play last game, and he runs great routes. He's still pretty quick. It reminds me a lot about his Indianapolis days. Maybe that injury is over with. That hip injury that he
I
had.
don't know, man. That's still Green Bay's defense, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
All right, man. Any guys you're looking at on the waiver wire or key injuries that you're looking to take advantage of this week?
You know what? I mean, the waiver wire, I mean, it's still kind of thin, but if you pick up Jonathan Randall for the Dallas Cowboys, DeMarco Murray's been injured. That's probably not a bad bet there because they're going to run the ball against Philadelphia.
How about Harry Douglas, your boy?
Everything. Well, you love that guy for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't anymore, man.
I think you take a chance on Randall because, they're going to run the ball a little bit against Dallas. Not against Philadelphia, just eat up clock.
He should be able to have a good game.
Just eat up clock, and he's got fresh legs too. So
I love those guys that are coming in for like injury fills for their first game. I mean, that's a dream matchup too.
Well, they usually do pretty well. A lot of guys that wrote off guys like Giovanni Bernard. I think he's going to have a big week this weekend. I like the guy. I think he got a nice touchdown pass the other night against Buffalo. So he's playing pretty well. But waiver wire to me as we get we progress along, I just don't really see that many guys like diamond in the rough guys anymore because they've already been pegged out.
You think that, man, but see, there's always a guy there every single week. I mean, I got Blackman last week. That guy was a stud. He's worth I spent $395 or something to get him out of 1,000.
Oh
and,
yeah,
And you have to jump on guys, pounce on guys like that. I mean,
And you got to jump on Keenan Allen. I mean, that's another guy too that did so well for San Diego. And I was kind of thinking about it. Should I pick him up? But I also had Vincent Jackson, Jordy Nelson. I had some really good wide receivers that every single week I was having trouble picking who I was going to play. So you got to also be wary of that because you could pay or pay big bucks for a guy like that and then have him not pay off. So
yeah, absolutely.
Look at that too.
There's always that risk. There's no doubt about it. Let's get on to the matchups for this week, Robbie. We have a full slate of games. We're not going to talk about the Redskins-Cowboys anymore, and we're definitely not going to talk about the Redskins changing their name because it's the dumbest thing in history. The Redskins should not change their name, and we're not going to talk about it. It's not going to happen, and that's enough. I'm going to do my best Bob Costas avoidance thing there. He's just an absolute fool there on NBC.
That guy is
and
the
he has no
worst.
business talking about the name change. And what Dan Snyder should do is, if he really hates it that much, go out and buy the Redskins, change the name yourself, or go get offended by something else that you have some kind of control over. Okay, moving on to the game. We got the Week 7 schedule here. Seattle and Arizona tonight. We're not going to spend too much time talking about it, but as we're taping right now, it's 7-0 Seattle at the end of the first quarter. And you have to expect them to cruise on to an easy victory in that game. Probably not worth starting any of the Cardinals in that game, except for maybe Andre Ellington, who I expect big things from.
Oh, jeez.
Let's move on to the next game, though. We've got Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Atlanta coming off the bye, and also the devastating loss to Julio Jones.
Oh, definitely Atlanta's in just total disarray. And then they're talking about maybe trading Tony Gonzalez. But Tampa Bay's even in a worse situation. Looks like their head coach is going to be gone after the end of the year, or maybe even before that. Then you have a new rookie quarterback in Mike Glennon, who played pretty well against Philadelphia. But again, there's Philadelphia's defense is terrible. I think Atlanta bounces back and they win this one. But Roddy White's gimpy. Julio Jones is out. Tony Gonzalez, he's a huge threat.
All signs point to Harry Douglas, man.
Yeah, your boy. And then Jacquizz Rodgers as well, too.
Yeah, Jackson's never going to come back from that damn injury.
No.
So Washington I thought they looked a lot better against Dallas. They had a couple of crazy things happen to them, which completely skewed that game. Unfortunately, that's football for you.
Yeah.
Griffin looked a hell of a lot better.
He did.
And, they got Chicago this week. That's a tough task to play those Bears. The Bears are fierce, and they're one of the top teams in the NFC. It's hard to see Washington making a run at this game, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, only because. But you know what's the thing that you just talked about? They played a lot better against Dallas, and breaks didn't go their way. But again, if they win this game, if they find a way to win this game.
Yeah.
They're 2-4.
They're right in the thick of things.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So you can't really count them out, especially in that weak division that is the NFC. So, but Chicago, with their new head coach, Jay Cutler has been on fire. Martellus Bennett has been playing real well for his new team. Brandon Marshall's been Jay Cutler's favorite target, and then Alshon Jeffrey's been stepping up too.
Yeah, exactly.
And Matt Forte is a beast.
He's always there, and he is a beast.
Right.
He does as much or as little as required to win those games, but he's still pretty darn reliable when it comes to fantasy production. Dallas and Philly, again, this is an NFC fantasy feast. They're the best, man. Those are the dream matchups. You want those NFC East matchup guys. And
high-scoring game, I think. It's in Philadelphia. Tony Romo was playing very well, except for he didn't have a great game last week against Washington's defense, but Philadelphia's secondary is in shambles. They have a couple guys injured. I think that they're going to take advantage of that secondary big time with Des Bryant. Look for get that new guy, rookie Terrence Williams, to do well and to step up, and then also Miles Austin too. I would start Miles Austin. I think he's going to have a big day.
Okay,
especially if they double team Des Bryant because they can't really have him in space on one-on-one coverage. So I think Miles Austin could do really well, and then also Jonathan Randall, the rookie running back. Look for him to carve up some yards because they're going to want to control that clock a little bit to keep that Eagles offense off the field.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be another test for Nick Foles. We'll get the start this week. It looks like Vic will be out one more week. So I think you're going to expect good things from Foles here. I remember last year, I think that he had his big first game and he came back from that and kind of let people down. I can't remember what team it was. It might have been against Washington.
I think it was.
So a lot of people were expecting a big game from him in that one. So you maybe do expect him to fall back a little bit, and just by pure chance for no really good valid reason other than the fact that he's just like, already got that one out of his system. It's like, I proved to those guys I can do it for this team, and I can throw the ball to Deshaun Jackson against a pretty decent secondary there in Tampa for the cover guy.
Right.
But it's going to be a great fantasy day, and you got to start all those guys if you have them on your team, that's for sure. The New England Patriots and New York Jets, we see this game every year. I know how this game usually ends. It's usually a blowout, but
not the last game. It wasn't a blowout.
It was
Pats
a close
won 13-10.
Right,
it's kind of weird they're playing each other so
game.
early in the season too.
Twice already, yeah.
But I think that you got Geno Smith playing at home against New England. New England's defense is awesome, even though they just lost Gerard Mayo. But I think Tom Brady is up against the tough task again because he's going against Antonio Cromartie. He'll be blanketed all over, I guess, Julian Edelman or Kemba Hopkins. I guess it really doesn't matter. But
unless Gronk is back.
I don't see that happening. Amendola's injured. I guess start Stephen Ridley in this game and Bilal Powell. Those are the only two guys that I really see deemed worthy of starting. So
yeah, maybe Cumberland too, the tight end.
Yeah.
Buffalo, Miami getting another. And the AFC East is getting after it this weekend. It looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another low-scoring game probably.
You know what? I disagree with that. I think Thaddeus Lewis is kind of like a new sense of a little bit. I mean, he can run the football. He did really well against Cincinnati and leading that comeback in the fourth quarter. But I like Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he's playing good football right now. He's got the team doing big things. Charles Clay, their tight end's a big time threat now. Maybe Mike Wallace. We finally see him emerging as their top threat. But I think Lamar Miller does well in this game, but I would think that this game is a little high scoring than people think. Usually they're 13-10 or 17-14 games. I think this one might kind of blow some people away and surprise some people. So I'm going to say it's going to be a high scoring game here.
All right, man. That's funny you said because I was just going to advise everybody to go ahead and if you can get them off the waiver wire, pick up the Bills or the Dolphins defense because there probably could be a lot of turnovers in this game too.
Well, there could be.
Okay, next game up on the docket is the St. Louis Rams and Carolina Panthers.
I don't know what to.
Two cellar dwellers. But.
Well, not really. I mean, St. Louis, obviously they beat the crap. Now they're 3-3, and no one really knows that. They're a good 3-3 team. They play great defense. You might not think so. Sam Bradford doesn't put up that many fantasy points. Probably why I don't like him. But
I'm more of an anti-Tavon Austin guy.
No, everyone saw it coming. But Carolina, their defense is top 5 in the league. St. Louis is a good defense as well. I think they're at least top 10. With Cam Newton finally coming back, it's going to be kind of interesting to see what he does and how he, ramps up that offense a little bit because they did put up a lot of points against Minnesota and they kind of scaled back in the fourth quarter. So I think this is going to be. I think Carolina will take this game, but again, I could see Cam Newton doing well for a second straight week.
Yeah, he should be able to definitely do well. Cam Newton's definitely a top starter if you still have him. If you're going between guys there, Cam's going to be a tough guy to put on the bench this week. I have to do it because I got Rivers going against Jacksonville. I mean, what would you do in that situation? Rivers against Jacksonville or Cam against St. Louis?
I get Rivers against Jacksonville. I think he's going to throw like 4 or 5 TD passes. He should. And they're not going to take Jacksonville too lightly because of what happened in Denver. They're going to say, hey, we got to go out and play this team pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's in Jacksonville, but it's always the West Coast to the East Coast.
Right. We talk about it all the time.
Could be an upset.
No doubt about it. It could definitely be an upset. It's a tough way to go. It's easier to go west to east than it is east to west. San Fran and Tennessee, another interconference matchup.
This is going to be a great matchup, and it's again another. It's actually a 4:00 start, so it kind of helps San Francisco a little bit. But Tennessee's been playing good football. Chris Johnson hasn't clipped 100 yards yet, but. I think that Tennessee's defense will keep them in this game, but maybe we see Kaepernick to Vernon Davis a little bit more because than
last week
that threat. I mean, they're establishing something there in San Francisco. So maybe Kaepernick might not be a bad start. I know the Tennessee defense is pretty good, but maybe he won't be that bad of a start. Who knows? Kendall Hunter too. I mean, if you have him, might want to think about starting in the flex position. Frank Gore, I mean, you never know. Against a good defense like that, they might need a guy to come in and spell them, and Kendall Hunter's the type of guy to do that.
Yeah.
But again, Tennessee's offense is so anemic. So
they're totally anemic, and I don't think you can do much with any of those things. Chris Johnson continues to disappoint his owners. This is moderately bad matchup for him here. I don't think the San Fran defense is as good as it's been in years past. They've had some issues over there. Aldon Smith being one.
That's your boy.
Yeah, my boy. So I don't know what's going on in Houston with their quarterback situation. We talked about this last week. Schwab was throwing all those pick sixes. He finally got injured. Injured, air quotes, and knocked out of that game. I don't know how injured he really was, but I'm sure he was happy to say, "Oh, I got hit.
I got hit.
Out of this game.
I know.
My liver.
I know. And now Case Keenum, their third string quarterback, is going to start. So
yeah, I think that's a sleeper, man. I don't think it's a good start, but man,
what do you think? Is
pick him up. The third
going into
third
Kansas
quarterback.
City?
No, just to have on your stash away on your roster in case he ends up
Oh,
being the guy.
okay. I was going to say, going against Kansas City's
No, you're not going to start
way.
any of it. Kansas City is the defense you want to start
best,
this week.
Yeah, exactly. I think Houston's going to. If you're in one of those leagues where you pick the least, team to score the least, I think you pick Houston in this one. I will be surprised if they get to double digits. I'll be surprised.
Man, they're just a team in total disarray. They were, one of the Super Bowl contenders at the start of the season, and now they're in the lottery pick for one of the
how
top
sad
picks
is
probably.
that?
It's hard to believe, man. They got so many great players on that team. I mean, it's hard to believe they suck so bad.
Well, and now their safety, Daniel Manning's out for the year too.
Man, it's just when it rains,
Cursed.
it pours, as
Yeah.
they say. And Kansas City's just been a great surprise, and they're just on fire right now, and they look hard to beat.
I think so. I can't believe, if you would have told me last year that team that was 0-6 start the year is going to be 6-0 next year, I would have slapped you in the face.
Yeah, they're about to be 7-0.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, right?
Okay, moving on. We got Baltimore and Pittsburgh. These are always great low-scoring 3-point games. Take the underdog and take the points.
Yeah, I like this one too. Pittsburgh did play inspiring defense last week and holding the Jets to only 9 points. Big road victory. I think they got some momentum going into this game. It's going to be kind of tough to start Ray Rice and Torrey Smith. I don't want to talk about Joe Flacco. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think if you're a
He's
Pittsburgh
also
Steelers
the
fan,
highest paid with a couple Super Bowl rings.
I think if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you got to maybe take a chance on old Ben.
He's been doing good.
Him and Emmanuel Sanders have a good connection going right now.
Not to mention Antonio Brown, man. Those guys are both great players.
Yeah.
As kind of projected on the show, I think those guys were both due with Mike Wallace leaving there. Who's speaking of Mike Wallace? I mean, what an inconsistent disappointment he's been down.
Well, I kind of saw that one coming a mile away because it was a new team, new offense. He was just a big play guy, but
that's all he is.
He's not a guy that's going to go over the middle and get those hard yards and those tough catches.
He's never been reliable as a fantasy guy. Never, ever, ever has he been. And he's still not same guy. Different story down in Miami, but at least he's had a couple decent games.
Exactly.
All right, dude. We're moving towards the end here, and we got Cleveland, and I think a sort of feisty little Cleveland team that can play some defense. Man, they're interesting to watch.
This is going to be an interesting game to watch. I think. I know Cleveland is. They're that wild card team. You never know what team you're going to get. They reeled off those 3 straight victories, and they lost Brian Hoyer for the season. Then Brandon Whedon comes in, played really well in the first 3 quarters of last week's game against Detroit, but then all of a sudden, I guess he lost his responsibilities and threw 2, stupid interceptions. So, I don't know if that's a worthy play right there. I mean, I know you talked about him early on, but I think Willis McGahee might not be a bad start. The Green Bay defense is not that good.
They're not that good.
No, and if I'm Green Bay, without having Randall Cobb, you think Jordy Nelson's going to have a huge day.
How about this name, Jarrett Boykin?
I'm not sold on him, man. He dropped a lot of balls against the Ravens last week. I'm not sold on him. I don't think he's going to really come through. James Jones is a questionable, but I heard he might play, so I might start him in a flex. I know it's desperation, but then you also look towards a guy like Eddie Lacy, who carved with the Ravens for 110 yards on the road against Baltimore. And Baltimore has stuff to do. So he might put up some big numbers tomorrow, or on Sunday. Eddie Lacy could be a guy that could really do some damage against Cleveland, and really, a guy that hasn't really done much because he's been injured with a concussion, but he could definitely do well. And Jordy Nelson, he's gonna have a big day. So look for that.
I saw Cleveland play at that Cleveland-Cincinnati game a couple weeks ago, and obviously that was with Hoyer, and they were a much different team with him. But they were good, man. They got Jordan Cameron. I mean, that guy's a beast, man. That guy's a heck of a player. I couldn't believe it. Somebody picked him up on the waiver wire in one of my leagues last week. I was like, what the heck was he even doing out there?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I was kind of the same way.
I'm killing myself for me because these tight ends. It's receiver tight ends. Sometimes you don't get around to looking at the tight ends. I just totally missed that, and it's just boom, 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 kicking myself for that one. It's now 14-0 Seattle against Arizona. The blowout there continues. Do we have an update on the second touchdown there?
Not really.
Don't worry about it that much. Okay, then we have the night games. The night games are always the big ones. Here we go. Peyton Manning returning to Indianapolis for his homecoming.
Oh, man. This is going to be a game where I think Peyton Manning really shows why, and kind of gives him that hangover of why he's still the best quarterback. Master meeting the apprentice here with Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning, but God, Phil, you gotta like Denver in this game big time. I think they go into Indianapolis, fast track, and they just steamroll. Indianapolis did not impress me last game whatsoever against San Diego. I don't care what you say. They looked horrendous on every aspect of the playing field. So if they want to do that again against this Denver team, they're done. They're absolutely done.
It's just such an emotional game. There's so many themes. Irsay came out this week and said all those things about Peyton. I mean, geez, man. Yeah, on paper it looks like Denver should come in there and blow him out, but he's back in Indy. Indy's gonna be fired up for this game. Pagano's back, and this is gonna be big. Reggie Wayne's gonna be reunited with his boy there.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I think Indianapolis might have something to prove. I know some comments were said, but Peyton Manning's still Peyton Manning. He's gonna have a heck of a game. I look for Andrew Luck to bounce back. Maybe I think he's going to have a good game. I know he had a terrible showing on Monday night, but I think he'll play pretty well.
Yeah, and they're going to be back home too, and in their little dome there. And Peyton's they're not. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd really plays to Peyton Manning. They're going to cheer him every time he throws a touchdown pass. They're going to be booing him.
I think they're going to cheer him.
You think they're going to cheer him? You think they're going to be all wearing out their little Peyton Manning jerseys that they've had to put away for the past year?
I think so, man. A lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, I think so. They're going to do a little homecoming dance for him there, too. The Monday Night Football game, Adrian Peterson tries to bounce back in a big way against the Giants defense. He should have no problem doing that in that game.
And Josh Freeman's getting his first start as a quarterback. Josh Freeman
may get his first start, and he might be able to light things up there against the Giants because, and I think I told somebody today, we just asked Joe, who's in the studio tonight too, helping us out, with some technical difficulties we were having. He asked, should he start Tom Brady or Eli Manning this week? I say go and take a chance on Eli Manning.
I think so too. I think Eli's got to have a good game one of these days, right? I mean, he can't start.
Had good games against weak defenses.
Right, and Minnesota's a weak defense.
And they are a very weak defense.
There you go. Now, who's going to prevail in this game? I don't know. It's two crappy teams. I go with the home teams.
But Peterson should roll all over those guys and have a big game.
I think
the bye week guys we have to watch out for. This is a big one. This is New Orleans. A lot of top players you want to have there are out on bye. Sproles is gone. Breeze is obviously gone. Colston, Jimmy Graham needs this week off. This was really well timed for him with his injury.
Yeah.
And by the way, kudos to Bill Belichick for completely shutting down Jimmy Graham. I knew he would do it. He always takes out the best player on the opponent's team.
You're absolutely right.
That's how they win their games. That's why he is the best. They had Aqib Talib shutting him down in that game. The Oakland players on bye, not great guys. Terrell Pryor's been a decent backup quarterback. Denarius Moore really coming on strong here, doing a good job. And again, Darren McFadden always needs some time to recover from injuries. So that's it. That's all we got for this week, folks. Robbie, it's good to see you again in the studio. We'll definitely be back with Robbie and Clara in the studio next week for the NFL Week 8 preview. And again, you can tune in on Thursdays to see us 11:30, Saturdays at 3:30 in the morning, and also Saturdays at 1:30 in the afternoon. Thanks to Steve Mullen for directing. Thanks to FBA for the facilities. And thank you all of you for watching. We'll see you next time on Fantasy Sports Review. Goodbye, everybody.